3 ways to convert from H4 to H1B visa. Just because something is difficult, it doesn't mean we shouldn't even try. In today's video, I'm going to share 3 options or ways for you to convert from H4 visa to H1B visa in the US. This video is part of our series, A Better Life on a Dependent Visa, on which we discuss topics that help dependents in the US live their best lives. And if you're new today, I'm Priya from It's Ok Yaar and welcome back to our channel. It's Ok Yaar is a content platform for South Asian immigrants, and we aim to educate, entertain and empower them. Now, if you have spent some time in the US on an H4 visa, I'm sure you're aware that it's quite difficult to move to H1B visa from H4 visa. But then you didn't have me to create a video like this for you, right? So without any further delay, let's start with the options. Option 1, finding an H1B cap employer to sponsor your H1B visa. I know what you're thinking. If only it was this easy for me to find an employer to sponsor my H1B visa. But remember what I said at the start of the video? Just because something is difficult, it doesn't mean we shouldn't even try. So with the knowledge that it's going to be a difficult task, I am going to start sharing with you how you can actually approach this. For those who are new to the US on H4 visa, getting a regular H1B visa requires you to go through a yearly lottery. It happens in March and the results are announced in April. Without going too much into detail about that process, what you need is an employer who agrees to file your initial registration for the H1B lottery. Now, the steps required for you to find an employer to sponsor your H1B visa also requires for you to be a bit bold and scrappy at most times. I have 3 tips to find an employer to sponsor your H1B visa. The first one is network. Don't start networking in February if you want them to file your lottery in March. Start networking much before that. Maybe now is a great time. Find people in your industry on LinkedIn or even Instagram these days. Build a genuine connection with them. Don't start with just a hi. Engage with their content. Reach out to them with a prepared script and don't feel dejected if they don't respond. There are plenty of people who you can network with. Try to build a genuine connection over months, and when you feel the time is right, make the ask. Keep your ask very specific. Share a role that you're interested in and share your resume with them and ask them if they can refer you to the company. Target startups for more. If startups like you, they will most likely hire you. Since they're not aware of this entire process, they'll probably ask you to figure it out and they'll be willing to sign on any of the approvals you might need. We have a detailed video on how to do networking in the US and we'll link that in the description box, so definitely check that out. The second tip is Desi Consultancies. Now this is a double-edged sword. You can either strike gold with Desi Consultancies or get stuck with them, which is why it's important to do your homework before you start working with any of them. Every year, close to the time of the H1B lottery, you will find plenty of these Desi Consultancies advertise and even reach out to you. They will file for your H1B lottery, sometimes even train you for the roles, interviews, etc. Select a consultancy that you feel is genuine. Do your research. Now, this can be tough, but I'm here to help you. We've created an entire video on Desi Consultancies in the US, the pros, the cons, the red flags, etc. And we'll share the names of some of them in the description box, which have been shared by some of our followers who have used them. So definitely check that out. Third tip is be a thought leader in your field. Just because you're not working, it doesn't mean that you don't keep up with what's going on in your industry. Keep up with what's happening in your industry, and that will eventually help you for interview preparations as well. But the idea here is not just to stay updated, but to also put your thoughts out on different platforms like LinkedIn or any other platform that you feel most comfortable with. Engage with like-minded people. Have your LinkedIn optimized. If you're regularly posting and acting as a thought leader in your field, you will find a lot of recruiters actually directly reaching out to you. Before we move ahead with the second option, I want to discuss an important thing. I know a lot of you have been watching our content and we are happy that we've been able to help so many of you out. But I also know that more than 90% of you aren't subscribing to our channel. For you, it's just a click, but for us, it's a big motivation to keep bringing this content to you. So please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and help us reach out to more people. Let's now start with the second option, which is finding a cap exempt employer. Cap exempt employers are those employers who can sponsor your H1B visa, but you don't need to go through a lottery for that. Isn't that cool? These employers could be a higher education institution, a non-profit associated with a higher education institute, or with a government organization. We have created an entire video about H1B cap exempt, and I'm linking that in the description box as well. You can find H1B cap exempt employers on websites like myvisajobs.com. The third option is from H4 EAD to H1B visa. This option is for people who already have an H4 EAD and are working in a company. For them, it may be beneficial to move to their own H1B status and not be dependent on their spouse's H1B. In this case, if the worst were to happen if either of you are laid off, there is always a backup option. So unless you're going through a cap exempt employer, everyone else will have to go through an H1B lottery. And if you're selected in the lottery, there are a few more steps. Let us very briefly talk about those steps too, so that you have complete visibility into the process. The process after H1B lottery approval or through an H1B cap exempt employer. The first one is LCA, or the labor condition application. The employer files a LCA with the Department of Labor. The LCA includes details about their job, such as location, wage and working conditions. The DOL verifies that the job offered meets certain labor standards. The next is the H1B petition, or your form I-129. Once the LCA is certified by the DOL, the employer files an H1B petition with the USCIS. The petition includes required forms, supporting documentation and filing fees. Now let's understand what the required documentation may include. Your passport and I-94 copy, your H4 visa approval notice, academic and professional credentials, your transcripts, degrees, certificates, your resume, your job offer letter, any relevant work experience documentation. USCIS Processing. USCIS reviews the H1B petition and supporting documents. USCIS may issue an RFE, like a request for evidence, if more information is needed. Premium processing can be requested for an additional fee, expediting the process to 15 calendar days. Approval and change of status. If the H1B petition is approved, your status changes from H4 to H1B on a specified start date, which is usually October 1st. You can begin working for the sponsored employer on or after the H1B start date. I'm sure you understand that creating these videos requires a lot of time, effort and research on our part. And if you want to motivate us to keep doing that, please subscribe to our channel. Subscribing is not as difficult as finding someone to sponsor your H1B visa. I hope this video was helpful for a lot of you. Remember, if things are not going your way, it's okay, yaar, and it will soon turn around. Until then, it's Priya signing off. Have a wonderful day.